What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a DMX controller to your RockSpot 260W. So to start with this setup, we're going to go to the address menu for each light, and from here we can set the DMX address. So for today we're going to use 001. You can change this by using the up and down buttons until you see the blue square around the number here, and if you press enter, you can then use the up and down buttons to switch between the different DMX addresses. So like I said, we're going to use 001 and press enter to save the change. Next, we're going to go to the mode menu on each light, and we're going to want to set each light to DMX control mode. And then we're going to go all the way down to the master slave choose and press enter until they read they're on slave mode. So once that's all set up, we're going to set the wireless DMX code for each light with this button right above this LED here. So the more we press it, the more colors we get to select. So we're going to press this button for today until we get to the red LED. Next, we're going to power on our wireless DMX controller, and we're also going to want to make sure that it's set to the same wireless DMX code as well. Again, for today, we're going to set it to red. Now, as soon as I do that, you'll see that the DMX code LED on the controller is flashing red for master mode, and the DMX code LEDs on my lights are flashing green for slave mode. Lastly, we're going to activate scanner 1 on the controller, and now we can go through each fader and see what they do for our lights. So starting with fader 1, this will control the X-axis for the light, then fader 2 will control the Y-axis for the light. Next we have fader 3, which will fine-tune the X-axis, so you'll see when we do that the X-axis on the light will move very slightly. Fader 4 does the same exact thing for the Y-axis. We can use fader 5 to adjust the speed of how quickly the X or Y axis moves. So if I raise that up a bit and move my light with fader 1 or 2, it goes a little slower than before. Now fader 6 will control the strobe for the light, and it will have a different effect on the strobe depending on where we set it. So for example, if we set this fader anywhere from 128 to 191, it will produce the pulse strobe mode from slow to fast. You can always tell which value you're setting your fader to by looking at the LED screen on your controller. Now you won't see the strobe coming through unless you raise fader 7, which is the overall dimmer for the light. So the more I raise this fader, the brighter the LEDs for your light. Also keep in mind for fader 6 that value 0 to 3 is a blackout mode for the strobe, so nothing will happen. Next we have fader 8 where we can set the colors for our light. Again, you can raise fader 7 to control the overall brightness. And if you want to have a full blast of color, you can raise fader 6 all the way up. So now if we raise fader 8, we can go through all the different colors available. Next we have fader 9 where we can adjust the first gobo or the shape of our light. And then we have fader 10 for the second gobo or the shape within the first shape. Next to that we have fader 11 which changes the rotation for the second gobo. And then we have fader 12 for the prism rotation. Next we have fader 13 to control the focus of the projection. And lastly we have fader 14 to control the function. From value 0 to 249 the light will function as normal. And then from values 250 to 255 the lights will reset after 5 seconds. You can also set up just one of your lights to your controller wired and have it control the other lights in your chain wirelessly. So for that setup, we're going to set up this light here to our controller with a DMX cable. I'm going to take the male end and plug it into the DMX out of my controller. Then I'm going to take the other end and plug it into the DMX in on the first light. Next, we're going to go into the mode menu and set it to DMX control mode. Then we're going to go all the way to the bottom to the master choose section and press the enter button until it reads master. You'll also want to be sure to go into the address section and set it to the DMX address you want it set to. For today we're setting it to 001. So now for all the other lights you have set up in your chain, you're going to go into the mode menu here. Make sure that it's select to the DMX control mode, then go all the way down to the master slave choose and press enter until they read slave mode. From here you're also going to want to make sure to set your lights to the same wireless DMX code. For today we're going to use red, and then you'll see as soon as you do that the master light is flashing red while the slave light is flashing green. So to summarize here, my first light is taking control from my wired DMX controller, while the slave lights follow the light that's connected to my DMX controller. So now as soon as I do anything for my first light, you'll see that the slave light will also follow. This is handy if you have a wired DMX console with your lights, but still wanted to save on bringing DMX cables since we only really need one for this setup. You can also set up all of your lights to your DMX controller through DMX cables. So I can take one DMX cable and plug the male end into the DMX out on my controller, then plug the other end into the DMX in on my first light. Then to connect my first light to the next light, I can take another DMX cable, plug the male end into the DMX out on my first light, then plug the other end into the DMX in on the next light. And you're going to repeat this process all the way down for however many lights you want to have set up. Lastly, you're going to want to go into the mode menu for each light and make sure to set it to DMX control. Then go all the way to the bottom for the master slave choose. And from here you can either set them up to slave or auto mode, because the lights will automatically know that they're set up to the DMX controller through the DMX cables. You also won't need to worry about the wireless DMX code since we're not using wireless DMX. And now as soon as I use my controller, you'll see that the lights will follow. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your DMX controller to your RockSpot 260W moving headlights. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.